This science fiction and adventure story begins by showing a woman slowly coming out of a battleground. She looked extremely terrified, and in the background, continuous gunfire and loud explosions could be heard. It seemed as though she was going to die very soon due to her own mistakes. These events remained shrouded in mystery. Then we are introduced to a man named Ethan who was inside an airplane. He was the captain of the entire plane, but he wasn't concerned at all. In fact, he was playing a video game. Ethan had even explained to his crew members that they didn't need to worry. After years of hard work, he had combined his experiment with the plane, meaning the aircraft no longer needed fuel or any external source of energy. This plane, in fact, was flying by using time itself, extracting power directly from it. Ethan starts explaining some technical aspects to his crew, saying he had created a device called the Contanium. This device literally converts time into energy, and with the help of that energy, the plane was still flying. They had been flying for over an hour, which was quite unusual for a domestic flight. Observing everything, it seemed that the plane really was using a form of energy related to quantum physics. But no one realized that meddling with time like this could lead to such catastrophic consequences. Seeing Ethan's overconfidence, everyone relaxed. But soon after, the plane's alarm system went off. The aircraft's altitude began to decrease slowly, indicating it was heading toward the ground, about to crash land. All the pilots and crew members tried to convince Ethan that maybe the energy was running low and that they should switch from autopilot to manual control. But Ethan had blind faith in his experiment. He believed that energy fluctuations were due to the time shift and that they should wait a little longer for more energy to be generated. However, if they exited autopilot mode, the connection would break and the plane would start falling for a while. The situation had already worsened due to severe turbulence, and the plane was now on the verge of being destroyed. When Ethan finally realized the plane wouldn't return to autopilot mode, he sat down in fear, saying they only had a short time to live and would soon drown in the water and die. He sat in silence, as if he had known this would happen all along. The crew and passengers were all terrified. Now we are shown Ethan, whose plane has crashed. The aircraft had fallen into the Pacific Ocean, and the shocking part was that there was no one else on board except Ethan. It looked like Ethan had somehow ended up somewhere completely different. This place didn't seem like Earth at all. Ethan began hearing strange sounds coming from outside. As he went out to look, he saw some strange-looking humans stealing his device, the Contanium. This was Ethan's personal experiment. There was no way he could just let them take it, so he immediately pulled out his gun to stop them. The soldiers fled. Ethan then started scouting the area to figure out where he was. Soon, on a nearby beach, he saw a woman bathing. Ethan urgently asked her about his Contanium. This device was extremely important to him. He had spent years developing it, and many investors had funded the project. The woman, embarrassed, slowly stepped out of the water. But as soon as she got dressed, she unexpectedly snatched the gun from Ethan's hand and pointed it at him, asking what he was doing there. However, before she could fire, Ethan quickly wrestled the gun away and threw it down. Calmly, he asked her again about the location of the Contanium and the strange soldiers. The woman was clearly confused and couldn't understand Ethan's questions. Suddenly, another woman appeared from behind and struck Ethan with a wooden stick, knocking him unconscious. Ethan regains consciousness. As he walked toward a small chamber, he found the remaining members of his crew, some of whom were still alive. Along the way, Ethan also found his Contanium, but it had been completely destroyed. That meant it could no longer generate power. Jacob, Ethan's brother, was also present at the location, trying to figure out how to escape. But no one knew where they were or even when they were, and without any airplane or vehicle, there was no way to leave. Jacob was angry at Ethan for being overconfident. Ethan explained that the Contanium had been destroyed by some strange soldiers who were present on this island. Ethan felt the most devastated, knowing how many years of work had just gone to waste in a single moment. All the survivors were desperate and searching for a way out. But this was just the beginning of the dangers. They hadn't even seen the worst yet. At that point, a flight assistant named Ryan confessed that everything happening was because of him. If he had made certain changes earlier, the plane would never have reached this island. Everyone started questioning Ryan. Why had he done this? Ryan then revealed that Elizabeth Paulson, the real owner of the company, had been brutally murdered some time ago, just so others could take credit for her work. Her vision had come to Ryan, who had then manipulated the autopilot system and altered its location settings to bring the plane here. In other words, Elizabeth Paulson wanted all of them to come to this place, deliberately, perhaps even after death. Some version of Elizabeth Paulson is still alive and trying to contact them. Hearing this, Jacob became very disappointed and told Ryan that it was their responsibility to safely get everyone stuck here out of this place. Ryan, however, shared some good news, that before the plane crash, some signals had reached the rescue team. They might have their coordinates, and the rescue team could arrive soon. But maybe this planet isn't what everyone thinks it is. Jacob told Ryan they needed to calm down, explore everything carefully, and collect resources until the rescue team arrived. Who knows what other dangerous things they might encounter on this island. Jacob then went off alone to investigate in another direction. Meanwhile, Ethan was also shown doing some of his own research. While traveling, he reached a cabin where he found a tape recorder. After listening to the recording, it became clear that someone was talking about Matt. The voice was that of a woman named Tina, who seemed deeply disappointed in Matt. Matt was apparently a very good friend of hers, whom she had invited to the island to become her assistant professor. In the recording, Tina and Matt were having a heated argument. On the other hand, Jacob had drawn his gun because a thick fog had formed around him, making it almost impossible to see. Still, Jacob moved forward. As he kept traveling, he reached a place where many people were present. Large tents had been set up there, resembling a research base. Suddenly, Jacob heard the voice of his father, Henry, giving a speech about his experiment, one in which he planned to generate energy from time. Jacob remembered that his father used to give such speeches a century ago, when Jacob and his brother Ethan were just little boys. But how could this moment exist here now? Jacob couldn't understand what was happening. Meanwhile, Ethan finally saw the woman named Tina in person. She was the same woman he had met on the beach earlier. Ethan also noticed that she was carrying his device, the Contanium, and she seemed to be taking it somewhere. Ethan started following her, encountering strange scenes on the way, scenes from a time when his father had not yet left them. Ethan eventually caught up to Tina and cornered her, demanding to know where his device was. Tina, however, told him she had never seen him before, and that the device he called Contanium didn't belong to him. It was invented by someone else. Ethan insisted that it was his creation, a result of years of hard work. But Tina clarified that the current time they were in was the past, and the Contanium was actually invented by Dr. Henry, Ethan, and Jacob's father. Ethan's mind reeled. What kind of game was this? Just then, a soldier appeared. Seeing what looked like a stranger harassing Tina, the soldier pointed a gun at Ethan. Ethan tried to calm him down, but the soldier fired. That bullet oddly moved toward Ethan in slow motion. As he collapsed to the ground, everything around him vanished. Tina, the soldiers, everything disappeared into the fog. Was this reality, or just a glimpse of the past? Ethan had no idea, and the same strange sensations were being felt by Jacob. As the fog cleared, Ethan and Jacob found each other again. Jacob began telling Ethan that he had somehow gone back in time, to the moment when their father used to give speeches about his experiments. Ethan was shocked to hear this because he too had been present in that exact moment. Both brothers were completely confused. What was happening to them? Why had they come to this island? And why were such strange things related to time happening to them? There had to be a reason behind it all, one they had to uncover. While Ethan and Jacob were talking about all this, they suddenly saw a child standing a short distance away. That child looked familiar. That's why Ethan started following him. As they kept running, both of them reached a rocky area where very strange structures were formed. These structures didn't look man-made at all. The child then went to a hiding area, inside which a large laboratory was set up. When Ethan arrived there, he couldn't find the child, but the place had many CCTV cameras installed. When he turned on one of the monitors, he saw the same woman sitting there, the one he had met earlier. Someone was constantly interrogating her, asking, Why did you steal the containium? What is your motive? Who told you to steal it? The woman was being tortured severely. Ethan, after watching all this footage, began questioning what was really going on. Just then, he hears the voice of a man named Rob. Hearing it, Ethan remembered that last time, when he had gone a little deeper into the fog. He had seen a woman in a theater calling her son by the name Rob. It was possible that the child from the past was the same one speaking now. Ethan confirmed it, and it turned out to be true. In other words, the strange combination of past and present wasn't a dream, it was actually happening to them. With that, our story ends here.